We are those who are transforming our cities to make them greener, more sustainable, really inclusive. We are urban farmers, future makers. Our goal? The global transition to a sustainable food system by 2030. We are shaping a different perspective for urban growth. 17 countries, 21 cities, 30 partners worldwide. A new alliance between young people, local communities, mayors. We are trailblazers. Activism schools. Urban agriculture, city gardening. We are the protagonists of the present, citizens of tomorrow. We are thousands, but we're becoming millions. We are the food wave community, and we've just begun leading the change.
Good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the event Youth Engagement, Heart and Global Campaigning. This is an event part of the Food Wave project. I am Emanuele Bonpan. I'm an Italian journalist specialized on climate change and biodiversity and editor-in-chief of a magazine that specializes on circular economy. And I will be the chair of today's event. Together with me, they're joining Stefania Divertito, the Chief Press Officer of the Italian Minister of Ecological Transition. Welcome, Stefania.
Thanks,
Roberta Ianna, Senior Expert of the Italian Minister of Ecological Transition, colleagues of Stefania. Welcome, Roberta. And Marina Ponti, Global Director of UN SDG Action Campaign. Thank you for joining us, Marina. I really love your background. It's the best I've ever seen in ages. Thank you so much for being with us today. So today's event is really try to focus how critical is youth engagement when we talk about environmental and social campaigns. How can they can be the actors of change? How can they activate and help to activate their peers, the other youths that can make a difference in this topic? So we'll try to understand what strategy can be adopted, which project have took place already, and with which other project will happen in the future. So we will try to find creative and innovative ideas from both the Italian Minister of Ecological Transition and UNDP, which is the sponsor of the US SDG Action Campaign, if I'm not mistaken. So I would like to start with Stefania Divertito, because last October I was in Milano for the Youth for Climate event. I was actually amazed, not just by the organization of the event was very good, but by the quality of the delegates, of these youth delegates from all over the world that took part in these events, and really, really left me an impression for their professionality, their skills, and also their ability to communicate and to be leaders. I was really impressed when I was doing interviews, like, oh my God, they're much better than the usual people I usually interview. They're great communicators, so you can see their passion, you can see how deep these interests are embedded in them, how relevant it is for their futures. Why we talk sustainability, but we don't always walk the walk. We do a lot of talk the talk, but they're really trying to walk the walk. They really have inside them what must be done to really tackle both the climate change crisis and the biodiversity crisis. So, Stefania, can you just summarize what was the idea behind the Youth for Climate? What happened in there?
Yeah, thanks, Emanuele, for your question. And first of all, I would like that Roberta will be expert since she organized the in which way the young delegates come to Milan. I can to tell you what is in our state of mind for organizing the next Youth for Climate. And also in Milan, we had 400 young delegates that come over from all the world in Italy. Around 190 countries were represented in Milan the last year. The Youth for Climate, it was a very interesting initiative that our state of mind, our ambitious project was to have proposals from the young delegates from the rest of the world and come from the protests to proposals. I know it's very important to have strikes and protests and demonstrations, but we wanted to have a new language, and in which way the young delegates started to talk with institutions, organizations, associations, both private and public sector as well. And we did a very interesting. Maybe it was the first time that we had an agenda that the young delegates wrote the agenda and they told about their agenda to ministers and the head of the countries. It was present also the President Draghi was in Milan last September. We had the 5 days in total, and the 3 days for Youth for Climate and 2 days for pre-COP, and it was an event under the umbrella of COP. That we have and the long vision for the future. The Minister Cingolani during COP in Glasgow said that he wanted to transform Youth for Climate in a permanent, not only the permanent event, the permanent vision. He strongly believed that the young have to bring their voice into the institutions. And for this reason, we wanted to transform Youth for Climate in the Youth for Climate Permanent. And we are work hard, and we work with UNDP to find a common way to carry out these ambitious projects. We are committed to studying a roadmap and in an international agenda, which will take place during 2022 to organize these moments of confrontation that derive from the Youth Manifesto. You know that during the Milano days, the delegates wrote a manifesto of ideas, and they implemented the manifesto during the 1 month after the Milan days. And into the manifesto, we can read not only the big ideas, the big issues, and so on, but the concrete initiatives, the concrete proposals, the concrete ideas. And our rule is to bring this proposal during the 2022 and the next year, of course, for the next proposals in the same table with the stakeholders, private and public as well, and our project, our ambitious visions, and that more and more young people will be able to work with stakeholders and influence activities on climate change, fighting together against climate change. I know it's a very ambitious, but I'm confident that we make it. Yeah.
Of course, but I think it's really worth to give consequences to what happened in Milano, because I really saw a lot of discussion. Roberta, you organize a very complex event in the midst of the pandemic. I can only imagine the difficulties you faced during those days. I mean, 400 delegates from lots of countries. Many of them have, technical issues usually with Europe, different languages, of course, the COVID. How was to organize it? And what was the goal, especially to create the dialogue? Because it's not also easy to create a complex dialogue. Climate change can be taken from deforestation, fashion, of course, and you want the youth to, put their agenda in front. You don't want the youth to receive a pre-cooked menu, and so they just agree to a general text, but you want them really to discuss, to bring ideas on the table. How did you shape all of this? Well, of course, together with other people at the minister.
Thank you very much, Emanuele. Indeed, actually, we were a small team, but luckily I was not the only one working at the organization of this event, which was really a huge effort for the ministry. And let me add that we got lots of support also from outside, including from Marina and the UN SDG Action Campaign. We organized, and let me agree with you, Emanuele, when you said that participants were very well prepared, very passionate. We organized also for them a capacity building program. Actually, Marina and other UN agencies actively contributed to prepare these young people to attend the event. But indeed, they were already very focused, very into the subject, and very passionate, as I said. The idea, as Stefania said, was already very ambitious, was about inviting young people from all over the world to discuss, to meet and discuss and switch from protest to proposals. So actually really working on concrete proposals. And let me add also that another very ambitious component was given by the fact that invited young delegates were not selected among organizations, youth environmentalist organizations. They were really selected among 15 and 29 years old. Anyone could apply, and we reviewed.
How many applications did you got?
We reviewed more than 8,700 applications.
Oh my God.
It was
That's
really a huge task. As I said, luckily we got support also from UN offices, and we had really the chance to get in touch with brilliant young people from all over the world. It's a pity that we could only invite 2 representatives for each country, but as Stefania said already, they were already quite a lot, and to organize an in-person event in COVID time in Milan was a nightmare and a miracle, I have to say, for the results. And also thanks to the fact that it was organized back to back with the pre-COP, we had the ministers and the dialogue that took place between the young people and the minister was really friendly, engaging, and constructive. Actually, we have a video that we can show you now about well, it's just an extract of the non-state actor engagement main team. Actually, there were 4 main teams of the event, which were youth driving ambition, sustainable recovery, non-state actor engagement, and the climate conscious society. Among these 4, there were subtopics. And for example, in the non-state actor engagement, even food was a subtopic that young delegates were called to discuss and to develop proposals on. And they arrived to a final Youth for Climate manifesto, which is available online on the website of the Ministry of Ecological Transition. It's a 44 pages document, so quite long. We will work on it, as Stefania said, to keep on working on the proposals to make them be implemented and continued by next delegates who will join the future events. Yes.
Let's see the video.
Okay.
We tried to create this space in our working group to make sure that everyone could meet, could chat, and to create great friendship. 4 key takeaways from the non-state actors working group. First, we concretely ask you to support participation of young entrepreneurs, artists, farmers, athletes, in the adoption of climate change mitigation and adaptation solutions.
We need more practical solutions that can mandate and force stakeholders to take action.
I want to see governments take youth organizations more seriously.
I hope that the outcome will be that athletes around the world will use their voice to speak about climate change and how important it is, and to educate their followers and the people that they influence.
We demand non-state actors to align current and future operations and their supply chain with net zero emissions now. The transition needs to start immediately and requires clear reporting of plans and achievement of milestones at least on an annual basis.
I believe that arts have really important role in how we understand the climate crisis that we are living right now.
This is an urgent issue. We have to create spaces where those stories are heard and received in a powerful and effective way.
But most importantly, we need to abolish fossil fuels industry rapidly and immediately, with a total phase out by 2030 at the latest. We are not asking for just climate action. We are asking for climate action rooted in social justice.
Climate action rooted in social justice. Of course, not just the environmental dimension, but of course also the social dimension, the human rights dimension, which is critical for them. It was repeated over and over in many of the decisions taken. And of course, many of these students well, not students, because many of them were also entrepreneurs, were sportsmen and sportswomen, were artists. So not just, this idea we have of the youth as students, but also as young professional, as young member of the society, a productive member of the society. Many of them, of course, refer to the SDGs that we know has been a very powerful tool to address both environmental and social goals. And I know UNDP has stressed a lot of the action around the SDG action campaign, which Marina Ponti, of course, is the global director. So I would like to ask you, Marina, how relevant is the role of young people in really carry on the SDGs goal that we know are the Sustainable Development Goals that will try to support the development in the next 10 years. Please, Marina.
So thank you, Emanuele. I mean, the young people are already taking over. Young people are taking action, and they are ready to initiate the transformation that is needed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And somehow, because of the pandemic and because also of the climate emergency, we have now seen that change is possible. And change can happen very quickly when there is a political will and where there is a vision and where there is a sense of urgency. And young people have that sense of urgency because it's not only their future, which was a little bit the old narrative, it's their present. And many young people, we have networks across the globe, are taking up space to start to be involved, to start leading, to running for for public office, to running, enterprises with a different business model, to create a civil society organization or new way of engaging, to use technology or innovation to increase accountability, to change a stereotype on women, to really take, they want to initiate the change. They see that change is possible and they want to be an agent for change.
Do you think that we always give the youth enough spaces? I mean, in Italy, sometimes they still call me a young person. I'm 40, so I consider myself not that youth anymore. Maybe young, yes, but not youth. And I'm always concerned that we don't allow enough space for them to participate. So how UNDPs try to really involve them to be not just someone to bring and invite, but someone that's really, really active in that sense. And, it's also starting in the workspace sometimes.
So to give, to allow for participation, you need to give young people the tools. And that's why we were really honored to be part of this initiative on the Youth for Climate, where we had the opportunity to share some of the strategies, some of the tools that the young people need to have to be more effective. In today's reality, in today's social media led also decision making and communication world, where you need to have some tools. At the same time, we encourage government to then open up the space. I mean, you cannot only work on the demand side, on the supply side. You
Right.
also need, once they're given more tools, and where they build their advocacy, they need a space where they can have a dialogue. And for us, I think Stefania and Roberta were maybe too humble to say, but this initiative was the first. And I'm
Right.
so excited to hear that now it's here to stay, because we were afraid that it would only be just a once initiative, that then will stop. For us, I mean, what we advise is that this initiative continue, so that young people can actually be closer and closer to the negotiation table. This is where decisions are taken, but this is where all the delegation there kind of listen to the mood in the room, and to this event. So the more opportunity we offer them to really to exchange, and also to put a little bit under the spotlight, also government, that they're being watched, so that they can display their best behavior, which means they can commit even more that they would have committed otherwise. So we want young people, because they have such an energy. I mean, that's why they're young. The main difference is that they bring that energy, and they demand accountability and ambition, and somehow they put us all on our kind of a most effective behavior. So
Right.
they bring the spotlight to these events that sometimes are seen maybe by the media, by very technical. Well, there are, of course, very technical issue, but we're talking about our planet. We're talking about social justice. We're talking about dignity of people. We're talking about the survival of our humankind.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's not really a technical issue. So the young people help us bring the spotlight on the issue, so then when we have a negotiation like Milan and Glasgow and next year, we'll have the world watching, which again will help all the delegation from all the different countries with different interests to push forward and protect, to display the best, the best behavior, and push forward the most progressive position, because they will understand that the world is watching.
Thank you, Marina. Stefania, you are the chief officer the chief press officer of the minister, and of course you are a communication expert. Were you impressed by also the way they communicate their problem, the way they narrate their experience at the Youth for Climate? I remember I was flooded by Instagram feeds and tweets and but also articles. I read excellent article and excellent editorial written by the participant. What's your feedback on that, and where do you see the communication going in terms of activism and participation?
Yes, thanks for the question, Emanuele. And at the end of the Youth for Climate event, we was very happy, and we were very happy and satisfied. Um, it's clear that in every experience, it could be possible to have more and more and more and more. But we had a very different period, a very complicated period, since we come from COVID era, And when we started to imagine the Youth for Climate, it was before COVID in 2019, and then COVID came, and we have to postpone the event for 1 year. But we have a very the world was changed. I say that this for one special reason, since the media, the international media, and most of all the Italian media was very not very concentrated on the agenda of the Youth for Climate agenda, and the very difficult was to have their attention on not only for the event but for the issues that moved from the event. And for this reason, we had Sky as our main media partner, and of course, Sky was the main media partner also of COP26, Sky UK, but also for another reason, since Sky was is a company very careful for the environmental issues, and they have a very ambitious vision on became net zero emissions company. And they were very careful on our items, and we worked a lot and a good space, a good state of mind that with the colleagues in Sky. But we have worked on the communication through 2021. We had more than 500 events through Italy with associations, organizations, NGO, and schools, primary and universities, and so on. Thanks to All for Climate. All for Climate was an umbrella, very big umbrella. Under All for Climate claim, we had more than 500 events, and we organized them thanks to Connect for Climate, that is environmental program of World Bank, and it was very in a complex organization. But if we were happy and satisfied after Youth for Climate, was thanks to a lot of actors, and All for Climate, of course, and Sky, and a very strong groups into the ministry. And Roberta Jan as well, and Emanuela Vignola, and so on. Very people motivated and with a lot of passion. And it was our secret. It was the passion for Youth for Climate, and also for fight against climate changes. Also, I have to thanks to Milan, with the city of Milan was attentive, participator, and involved, and their administrators were very involved in our issues, and it was a very complex group of actions, and everything was okay.
Thanks, Stefania. Roberta, we talk a lot about.
Sorry, Emanuele. I have to have another mentions, but since we had live music event in 13 September in Milan, and for me, it was very important, since we try to told to young people and to all of citizens of Milan, thanks to music language. We had more than 100 musicians that played the most of famous and popular songs in the world, and in our history, of course, pop and rock music. And I think that the music is very interesting as a language for talking to everyone.
Right. Thanks, Stefania. Roberta, we clearly have seen the role in this international discussion of our youth, but I'm also guessing, how can we involve them at a more local level? How can we activate youth, and if the minister has any program or project that is activating youth in the context of local government, a local association to really make a difference. Because of course, it's not just negotiation, but it's also about daily action and local projects. Roberta.
Yes, well, I can say we are working on it because well, also like thanking Marina for her kind words before. It was indeed the first of its kind as an event, and the ambition we have is to really connect the youth, young people with the institutional level negotiation table. So we don't really, so the ambition is not really to establish new initiatives, but to connect existing initiatives. So, for example, Food Wave is a very big project involving 17 countries at local level, talking with young people and youth organization at young level. So now the exercise will be how to connect and how to enhance the participation of these young people to negotiation tables and to really have their voice heard by governments and countries. I have to say, indeed, it was a surprise for us as well. Firstly, the success. Indeed, we were working for a one-shot event, and we are very glad that it was so successful because we really realized that once you set the scene and you put together young people, prepared and passionate young people, and representative of governments, then the dialogue really take place. And so this is what we are committed to keep on doing, to create this space and to create I wouldn't say create working tables. There are already work streams that we just need to connect to the negotiation level, to the institutional level. We did it in the framework of COP26, within the framework of the UNFCCC process. But the idea is, and we actually already clarified it in the event, is to go beyond the UNFCCC process and really address the Sustainable Development Goals, the whole 2030 agenda.
Right. Thank you so much, Roberto. We were talking, of course, the role of local actors and local government, which are also part of this Food Wave project, which is really interesting. I just discovered about it. Put together local governments, youth. So, Marina Ponti, how can we really strengthen the role of local governments in giving also those spaces that we're talking about, and what specifically your campaign is doing with them to support, to create those spaces that can be both virtual but also in the real world, especially now that probably finally the pandemic is giving us a break, to really create those spaces where youth can express and can work along and be of support of local governments.
So local governments for us are key because the Sustainable Development Goals, they are a vision for climate and social justice, and they are based on this very important principle of the interdependence. So when they were agreed in 2015, they're very clearly stated, you cannot pursue health without looking into education or job creation or security or justice. But those interconnection remain very abstract for long. Then COVID came, and now there is a momentum where everybody understand the linkages. You see an health crisis in 24 hours became an education crisis, a mobility crisis, an energy crisis, climate. So now people understand the complexity. And somehow, if the national and the global level can afford still to, okay, I'm looking at the environment, because the structure are still a little bit separated, it is at the local level that mayors have to deal with these intersection. They have to deal now with how a health emergency becomes the school, the public transformation. So we see the local level is really crucial, because this is where this is where success stories on how the integration happens, how the best trade-off can be defined, looking at the different priority and understanding, what could be the best compromise. Because another issue that we really feel for local government is that sometimes, national and global level, there's like a long-term, goals like SDGs, 15 years. But again, at the local level, if people, need food, or the emergency rooms are overwhelmed, it is now and it's then. So I think that's why we really believe in a very important role. And we also welcome, it was just said by Roberta and Stefania, how the local level needs to work with the national level, and to really bring what's the best from one level to the other, and then to the global level. Many during the pandemic, local government were on the far front to inventing solutions that then were later on, recognized and then translated into policy and then budget. But of course, they were and are at the front line.
Right, community is always so important. I mean, even if we remember Barack Obama was a community organizer himself, right? He started in those places where really action starts to become reality, and young civil servants, together with administrators that have a vision for this, that really play a role. But there is one thing that also a couple of our youth mentioned also in the video, and it's interesting because I have been working on a research for the European Parliament about the role of art in communicating the ecological transition. In Europe, there is this project that is called the New European Bauhaus, that really focuses on trying to find ways to create a cultural dimension of the ecological and social transition. And so it's trying to engage with artists to really inspire action, promote change. So do you believe in art? Do you think it's something that we should push, not just create the next generation of policy experts and negotiators, but as well the next generation of green artists? And which role can they play?
To me, or
Yeah, Marina.
okay. No,
Sorry.
so
I
one
wanted to follow up to your
yes,
question.
yes.
Sorry.
No, one other very important point on that leads to art is that also local government are the closest institution to the citizen. So this is where, I mean, many people, and we also talk a lot about trust, how to rebuild the trust between, people and in institution, because this is fundamental, to build more sustainable, inclusive society. And that trust start more easily at the local level. And art, because again, art is a way of communicating with people, plays a very important role. Stefania or Roberta, I don't know who mentioned about the concert, and we believe in the power of music as one form of art, because when we listen to music, first of all, it's a universal language. But then, second, even more important, it breaks the barrier between us, and we all feel more united. And as we know, the evidence suggests that our action are like half derived from rational data or fact, and half are linked to our emotional intelligence. So art can really be the trigger, and way more effective to convince people to change their behavior. So I have plenty of example, many started also at the local level, on how art, and not just because it's beautiful, but can be a very effective way of convincing, of talking to people. because it involves our body, it involves our heart, and it makes us feel united, regardless of all the differences that or the things that pulls us apart. I always quote a beautiful quote from Bertolt Brecht, who said, art should not be seen as a mirror, reflecting reality, but as a hammer with which we can really shape the future. We've seen with the pandemic, music is what kept us going. You mentioned on the concert, this is where people feel united, and we need to use this tool to not just unite it for a moment, but unite them for a future, for a shared future, vision of a different world. And maybe you can show now a quick video that can maybe show
Sure,
how
absolutely.
what
I
we
was going
mean
to
by
ask you.
art.
Oh, Lois, want me to go over there with you?
Very powerful video, and I really also love the beat. Now, it's really important sometimes to change perspective. It's something I think also with age, we tend to not be so able to really change perspective. That's why we need fresh ideas to really sometimes, break down with the hammer, not just to shape the future, but sometimes also break the present and really, don't be stuck in real politics like we are doing these days. Oh no, our price of energy going up, we still open, we need to reopen coal power plants. It's sometimes, we need a better and different look, and it's not just a visionary idea, but I think it's also a way to defend our economy, and the youths know better than I. Stefania, I was also impressed to see how many people talks about the role of sports, about the role of enterprises in the Youth for Climate. What was the topic you expected the least and you saw in the final communique, the final documents that really attracted your attention?
Well, Manuele, a lot of time we talked about it together. I strongly believe that it's important that we go out of our bubble. We live, we work, we stay into the bubble, inside the Bible. Every citizens and people and association, we talk about the same items, and we are also improved of them. We are also engaged on our fights, but we have to talk with all the other people out of our bubble. And for this reason, as a ministry, we worked with the comics language. We had a very important project with Sergio Bonelli Editore, the publisher of Dylan Dog. Yeah, most famous is Dylan Dog. Yeah, we had yeah. Okay, I show you. Well,
you have to ship me one.
Yeah. And also we use the photographs language with a challenge for the younger photographers in Italy. We had more than 7,000 of photos last year for a challenge, and we had a lot of very, very beautiful photos during the Youth for Climate events. And we
you put Roberta as well to select the photos as she did to select the copy.
Not Roberta, but our social media manager, yes, into the jury. Yeah, he was into the jury. And also now we have launched the next challenge prize for the name. It's named screening green, and is for writers for TV series and movies. And we wanted that into the movies, into the TV series, during the script, the people, the writers had the green issues inside the history, inside the novels. It's important that we speak with the other languages and all of the languages for talking with the cities, not only for the younger but also for the citizens. Since I very appreciated the video, and it's important to feel that we are together and a very big team, and all together can move a little step, but all two steps together are very important to move against the climate change.
Roberta, I want to ask you, you have been following the process. Do you think that at the end the event was able to inspire the youth, of course not the ones who were inside the Milano pavilion, but also the ones who were in the streets protesting, but also and especially the ones who were not in the street protesting, because they are the ones who really need to target now. Not the youths already engaged, but the ones who they have interest in the topic but are not active yet. And how can we also strengthen them in that?
No, indeed, I think we really catalyzed the attention of young people to the event. Well, also thanks to the participation also of the very famous activists like Greta Thunberg and Vanessa Nakate. And so since the event in Milan, I have to say we keep on receiving from Italian youth, but also from abroad requests for the follow-up. They are very much interested. Of course, it was a very special experience for most of them, even the travel to Italy. So the attention from young people was incredible, and after they saw how it developed, they are more and more engaged. I have to say there is already lots of engagement. I work closely with the UNFCCC process into climate change negotiation, and I do work on the agenda item related to environmental education, ACE, Action for Climate Empowerment. So I can say that the Yango constituency is a huge constituency and already very active. Indeed, we did a small further step in taking more young people closer to the negotiation process as well. They know a lot about the idea of fighting climate change, but the negotiation is something really complex and procedural. And we had the chance to explain. Also, as I said, we organized this capacity building program ahead of the event, and where we had the chance to, as I said, together with UN agency, present young people with the topics of the negotiation, the basics of the climate change, the UNFCCC process, and SDGs of the 2030 agenda. So indeed, yes, it was. We are at the beginning, and we did see that it's working. Actually, this year it's also the European Year of Youth. So the attention of youth is increasing, and already youth proved to be very much engaged. Young representatives already proved to be very much engaged. Let's see what we will be able to do from here.
I'm sure there will be a great follow-up, and many, many more youths will take part in that format. And I think it's really, really important that stays alive and actually even grow, even with the support of other actors like UNDP or even other UNFCCC or whoever. It's interested to keep the Youth for Climate well and kicking. I want to remind everyone who's following us that we can accept questions. Of course, you should write them in the comment section here. I probably see there are already some on it, but I wanna see one thing, because you don't know probably. But while you were talking, Marco Serra, which is a graphic designer, he did somehow a summary of what we were talking of. And Marco, are you with us? I'm really curious to see your sketch, your sketchbook, virtual sketchbook. Oh, there it is. Yeah, let me put also my big screen so I can see. Oh, nice. So can you just give us a summary while you scan around your summary? Oh, that's cool. What was the topic that really got your interest, Marco?
And so, Emanuele, here there is just a summary of all interesting things that that you talk about. I think that the main topic that I captured with my visual is this is how that the young people are future makers, and that really they can shape their world, and now they have the tools and skills and the opportunities given by the other generation. And so this is my very simply
Nice.
synthesis. And okay.
I like the style. Thanks for the restitution. Also will be available as a file on the website. Maybe Francesca can at the end tell us where we can find the final graphics of it. I would like to have a copy for myself. Thank you so much for your great summary, Marco. I see there are already questions coming up here in the chat box. For Roberta Ianna, do you think the Fridays for Future Italian movement did not appreciate the way in which the youth delegates were selected? Well, let's see. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. I know about the protests outside the event venue. I don't know whether. Personally, I am not aware of.
I think there were a lot of Fridays for Future inside the events. So
a specific disappointment about the way in which youth delegates were selected, because as I said before, young delegates were selected like among the applications we received, and there was no affiliation requested. So every young people were really just presenting himself, herself, and not because of we actually, I think, for example, by the way, the Italian one of the two Italian representatives, Federica Gasbarro, was from the Fridays for Future, as far as I know. So we didn't really looked into affiliations in order especially not to give to give the chance to everyone interested to join the event. So I don't know exactly what is the reference to the disappointment of the Fridays for
Future maybe
process.
How did you? Well, I guess every time you make a selection, there is always someone disappointed, and that's clear. And choose 8,000 people, it's always someone left out that might not be happy.
No. Sorry? No, sorry. No, I'm.
Just in the comments there are a lot of things going on, but I wanna stay strict to the question I got in the question chat. Marina, I would like to know. How big is the UN SDG action campaign actually? What's the width of this campaign? I believe it's global, given that the UNDP is involved. I like just to get a sense of what they do to try to target the highest number of people possible.
So we are a very small team with not even 20. 20 people, very passionate, very really believing in the mission. And we work, our strategy is based on 3 pillars: inspire, mobilize, and connect. So that's why art is so important, because it's one of the strategy to inspire people to make the change that are required to achieve the SDGs. But then we also are mobilizing in September, when the high level segment of the General Assembly meets with heads of state. We run a global mobilization. This year, we extended the week, we call it a global week. We extended to overlap with the first day of the pre-COP in Milan, to really emphasize the urgency and put the spotlight on the climate movement. And we mobilize 100 million people from more than 150 countries. So we want to mobilize, but then the third equally important pillar of our strategy is the connect. So to make sure that those people, those who mobilize, or those different perspectives, we call them underrepresented voices, then are looped in the processes at the local, national, and global level. So then whatever decision is taken on the present and the future takes into consideration the different perspective. So this is in a nutshell our strategy, and which you saw the video. I mean, for this year, in a nutshell, why we want to flip the script is because we feel that the script the world is following today is the wrong one, and we believe in everyone at all level to be able, within the same script, to change a few keywords that allow possibilities for change.
Thanks, Marina. I see question time's going on. I don't see any other question here in the chat. So I'll probably try to give a closing remarks about what we talked today. Of course, the dimension of those global campaign today sees a more and more relevant role of the youth, and we clearly need to strengthen education, I think, in school, but not just in school, also professional education and technical education, like the training that were given to the attendees of the Youth for Climate, of course, to really being able to negotiate and to be an active, have an active role inside the works of the Youth for Climate. Then, of course, we need to see more and more interesting communication, are the one Stefania Di Artito showed us, comics, concerts, social medias, engagement of young journalists. I think that's really relevant. And I really, really hope to see also money coming from the PNRR to support youth journalism. We really need to train the next generation of climate journalists. I'm editor-in-chief of my magazine, and I'm struggling to find young colleagues that are really able to work as a journalist on complex topics like climate change. Yeah, don't even talk about the old colleagues that they're not able at all. But we need to train more young people. They are great journalists. They have talent. They are smart. They know how to use computers. They know how to use stats software. And we really need more trained expert journalists, because journalists will be the watchdog on nation about what they do with the NDCs, the commitment for decarbonizing our economy. We need watchdog to see what the big corporations are promising right now. They're all promising to cut carbons by 50% by 2040, by 60% by 2050s. But we need someone who's actually looking if they're really walking the walk. That's why communicators, journalists, bloggers are so relevant, and we need professional ones. We don't need influencers just taking selfies. We need trained experts with PhDs and with skills as journalists. Then again, of course, the role of public actors, especially local government. Marina and Roberta brought a lot of very interesting examples. They need to create opportunities. They need to open spaces, both virtual, but also real sometimes. We really, back in the days, we used to go either to the Centro Sociale, the social center of left-wing orientation, or the church, the oratorio, the place where the youth gather to play, meet, discuss politics. Well, today we need new spaces for the youth to engage, to create action, be volunteer, to help the society, and to really bring on the green project at a local level. That's absolutely fundamental, I believe. And it's important the role of the minister, it's important the role of the UN, it's important the role of any really public actor. I believe it's absolutely key. And we really hope to see those programs continuing, because it project that's really just one season, not entertaining. Netflix told us that 5, 10, 6, 10 seasons of a good shows, they're really engaging. So we really hope to see at least another 9 or 10 season of the Youth for Climate. And I'm really looking forward to see the impact of the Food Wave campaign that is really trying to raise awareness about climate change and food security, which is in cities, even in Western cities, still a key issues to tackle. And we see an increase in poverty, in people lining up for the open kitchen and for food supports, and so I believe it's really, really key to engage the youth in taking a key and active role in those campaigns. Say that, I want to thank Stefania Divertito for being with us, Roberta Ianna, and of course Marina Ponti. I really enjoyed our conversation. I want to thank everyone who has been following this chat online, and of course I'll leave you back to the rest of your business. Thank you so much for being with us today, and have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.